league had
There we
2
go.
junior umpires, and that was it. So that's how the program's grown. So it's great that you guys are part of this, and I hope you have a lot of fun. I hope you earn some money. Does anybody want to earn some money too? Yeah, I thought maybe so. Yeah. I figured so. Does anybody need a rule book, by the way? We just got some brought in. Have we got your books? All right, hey guys, listen up. I got a couple questions. These are for the first year guys, okay? During a baseball game, how many teams are on the field?
Three.
Who said 2? Who thinks 2? Okay, there's 3 teams on the field. There's the home team, the visitors. Who's the third team? Umpires. You bet. We are your team tonight, okay? Hey guys, listen up. No talking, all right? Guys, we're giving you an hour tonight, all right? Pay attention. We're your team tonight. We're going to show you, in addition to some of the rules, a little bit of the communication that goes on between a team of umpires. There's a basic set of communication that happens up on the field, and we'll show you a little bit about it. We won't get into a lot of it tonight. So, anyway, first thing we're going to cover in your rule books is in section 2.0. By the way, does everybody have their clicker for the year?
No.
Nobody's got a clicker?
You mean indicator?
Oh, indicator, there you go. Let me give you guys a word of advice. When you get out there with the district guys on the training, nobody has a clicker, okay? We don't have clickers. What do we have?
Indicators.
Indicators, okay? Clickers for your TV and your garage door. I'm just telling you now, we have some of the best trained district umpires in the Little League system. And you don't want to use the word clicker around, okay? Which there's the, yeah. All right, so let's pull out the rule book, and let's go to page 58. Hey guys. All right, so tonight we're gonna talk about majors, minors, and below, because most of you guys are gonna be doing that. We're not gonna get into, the rule book gets into the 50-70, which is a new league, by the way, that's being formed this year, Little League wide, and juniors and seniors and stuff like that. Side note, the 50-70 World Series will be held here in Livermore this year. So, as in Williamsport every year, there's the big World Series for the majors. We're going to have the 50-70 World Series here in Livermore, so it'll be a chance to experience something fun like that if you've never done it. All right, let's talk about infield fly. Chris is going to go through a little bit of what the infield fly is, and then we're going to demonstrate it together if we were a working team.
All right, so the book says that an infield fly is a fair fly ball, not including a line drive nor an attempted bunt, which can be caught by any infielder with ordinary effort. When first and second, or first, second, and third bases are occupied, before two are out. The pitcher, catcher, and any outfielder stationed in the infield on the play shall be considered an infielder for the purpose of this rule. So,
Okay, yeah. So if they're playing really shallow, you got a team that's not hitting, and you got your outfielders moving way in on the infield, you've got a bunch of infielders, okay? You have to consider those infielders.
and it has to be a ball that can be caught with ordinary effort. So if the guy is diving, it's not an infield fly.
Right, and it can't be this is the thing, remember, it can't be a bunt, and it can't be a line drive, obviously, it's gotta be some kind of a pop-up. So, the point is, when you call infield fly, an infield fly is telling the runners, look, the batter's out, if you go, you don't have to go, but if you go, you can be thrown out, right? You do not have to run. And then when you call the infield fly, is when the ball is right at the very top of its path, okay, at the apex of its path. So the ball's hit, it's popped up, we watch it, we see it, it's obviously an infield fly, there's first and second, there's one out, ball's popped up in the infield. Infield fly, batter's out. As umpires, that's what we do together. Now before that, before the pitch is even made, we're gonna look at the situation, Chris either base or plate, I'm base or plate, and we're gonna see that there's a runner on first and second, there's one out, so that is an infield fly situation, okay? So what we're gonna do is signal each other. I'll be at the plate, yeah. So I'll be at the plate. So I'm gonna do this. No, okay, so this is no outs, this is one out, okay? So, and what that is, and then he's gonna signal back to me. I'm gonna go like this, and right at my forehead, very subtly, but we look at each other. As a team, we're watching each other a lot. We're communicating a lot. And we just, I'll do this, he'll respond. And what that means is we're thinking, okay, this is an infield fly situation. There's a pop-up on the infield, we know it's an infield fly, okay? All right. Let's get into interference and obstruction. Chris, you want to do interference, and I'll talk a little bit
I have a
about
question real quick.
Sure.
On an infield fly, if the runners want in advance, do they have to tag up before they advance?
They still have to tag up before
So
they
it's just
advance.
like,
Correct. It's a pop,
even
if
if
it's
it's dropped,
popped.
even if it's dropped.
If it's not, if it's dropped, no.
If it's not dropped, they can still
Yeah,
like
it's
it's
a,
dropped.
it's a fly ball, correct.
Okay.
But they do not have to advance, so. Now, the way I'll tell you, most of the players and most of the coaches don't have a clue about the infield fly rule. So when you call it, they're all gonna go, what, huh? Well, what are you saying? Once in a while, a few players on the team know, but rarely do the coaches know what's going on with that. So sometimes it just gets a little chaotic out there. But if you know the rule, let me just ask one quick question. Who wants to make a lot of money and have fun doing it versus make a lot of money and not have fun doing it? What would you rather do? Have fun?
Have fun,
All right.
money.
How do you have fun doing this job? You know the rules, you do a lot of training, and you know the rules. If you do that, you're comfortable out there, and you've got control, all right? That makes it a lot more fun than not knowing the rules, so that's why you need to pay attention to.
Do you believe there's ordinary effort in double A ball? That any ball is ordinary effort for those kids?
I think there is, yeah. They may or may not catch it, but I think that if you're waiting under a pop-up, that's an ordinary effort. Interference, yeah.
All right, so interference. Offensive interference is an act by a member.
You guys?
By a member of the team at bat which interferes with, obstructs, impedes, hinders, or confuses any fielder attempting to make a play. And the umpires, if the umpire declares the batter, runner, or runner out for interference, all other runners shall return to the last base that was, in the judgment of the umpire, legally touched at the time of the interference, unless otherwise provided by these rules. Keep going.
Sure.
Alright, so the defensive interference is an act by a fielder which hinders or prevents a batter from hitting a pitch.
So what's the only position really that's ever gonna keep a batter from hitting the pitch? Okay, so about the only time you're gonna have a defensive interference call is catcher's interference. If you see the bat hit the glove when he swings, that's catcher's interference, and the correct mechanic for that is to say catcher's interference, and then let the play continue. If he hits the ball and he gets to first base, nothing happens. If he hits the ball and gets thrown out, then it's time, catcher's interference, he gets first base. Or if he just misses the ball, he still gets, he gets first base. And the mechanic for that is time, that's catcher's interference, first base. And we'll go through the mechanics on the field a little bit more. Yeah.
If he doesn't get thrown out, would you still say catches interference?
Well, you say that as soon as it happens. So as soon as he swings and hits the bat, or hits the glove, the bat hits the glove, then I'm gonna go catcher's interference, and then I'm just gonna, that's it, I'm gonna let the play continue. But if he gets to first base by rule, the whole thing goes away.
And that's true with any interference.
Any
So if you see it, you say it when you see it, but then you let the play continue.
Okay, on the next page is obstruction. Now, obstruction is sort of like the defensive portion of interference, if you will. But the term obstruction is important because you don't want to use interference when you're defining what happened on the field, when it's actually an obstruction call. So this is kind of an important thing to learn on your own. So if you look on page 59, obstruction, it says the act of a fielder while not in possession of the ball impedes the progress of any runner. You guys have all seen this. The runner's going around first base, the first baseman's standing there kind of looking zoned out, and wham, the runner runs right into the first baseman, knocks him over, slows him down, and he has to start again to keep going to second base. If I'm the first base umpire, I'm gonna go, that's obstruction, and then I'm just gonna let the play continue. Now, let me explain that a little bit more. You go over to page 78. Rule 7.06 talks about obstruction. We have two kinds of obstruction. You notice there's an A and a B obstruction, okay? A obstruction, it says if a play is made on the obstructed runner, the play is being made on the obstructed runner before touching the base, the ball's dead and all runners advance. So let's say he's going to the base, the fielder gets in his way, he runs into him, he doesn't allow him to get there, he falls and everything else, they make the play on him, and they, he's out, but you say time, that's it, that's obstruction, and then you give the runner that base, okay? That's what making a play on the runner. Now, if the runner is not having, now type B, says if no play is being made on the obstructed runner, and in this case, let's say the ball's to the outfield, the runner's rounding third base, the third baseman is standing there and blocks him, and it slows him down, and he starts going home. Well, then the play is at the plate, and the ball beats him to the plate. He's out. However, when he rounded third base and was obstructed by the third baseman, if I'm over there, I'm gonna say that's obstruction. I'm just gonna, again, let the play continue, and when he gets to home, even though he's thrown out, I'm gonna say time, that was obstruction, the runner is safe at home. You give him the next base they advance to, okay? That's it. Do you guys remember in the Oakland A's game, when Miguel Tejada, you may not remember this a few years back, they were going for the AL championship, and Miguel Tejada was rounding third base, and he got obstructed, and the ball was in the outfield. They could have won the game with this run. And the third base umpire says, that's obstruction, and Tejada stopped between third and home, and just started strolling towards home base, home plate. And they threw the ball in, they tagged him out, and they called him out. And Tejada says, no, I'm not out, you called obstruction. But the rule says, the next base you would have made with ordinary effort, with any effort. He didn't try to make it to home plate. If he would have just kept running, he would have been safe. They would have called obstruction, he'd been safe. So you gotta watch the whole play. You gotta see what's happening there, and make sure that there is some effort being made to get to the next base. So it's your judgment on that type of thing too. All right?
But sorry, just on the interference, you said you let the play go, but it just says the ball is dead, so they can't go? I'm just trying to understand, because if it,
Sure.
he hits the catcher, goes back, guy scores from third, is it a dead ball or is it a live ball?
If the bat hits,
Bat hits the glove, ball goes past catcher, guy steals from third to home, slides in, safe. Can he do that, or is it
well, a
dead?
catcher's interference, the play can continue. Now, most times if the bat hits the glove, it's gonna kinda just die right there. And then you're gonna call time and everything is dead, everything stops. But in a catcher's interference, sometimes the bat can hit the glove and then continue on and hit the ball. So you do let that play continue in that particular case. In a case where a runner is going around and hit by a ball, then it's time, that's dead, and everything is killed right there at that point.
If the runner's obstructed near third base and he keeps on running to third and gets out at third, would he go back to second?
If the runner's obstructed on his way to third,
At first base, when he's running first base, he's obstructed, but he keeps on going past the second and he's going to third and he gets out at
good
third.
question. So a runner's running round first, he gets obstructed going to second, and you say, okay, that's obstruction. So what happens is he's earned second base. Now, if he wants to go beyond that, he advances at his own risk.
Okay.
You basically earn that next base. And at least in my judgment, it's gonna be, you would normally have made that. Now, there's times too, you got a runner going around first, and there might be a little bit of obstruction, a little bit of mangling going on there. But there's no way he's gonna make it to second base anyway. It's a judgment thing. Just because of where the ball is right next to second base, and he's not gonna make it there, even if there is no obstruction. You kinda gotta look at the play and realize, okay, if he hadn't been obstructed, in my judgment, again, judgment is the big key to this, would he make it to second base, or would he not make it? So, if the ball's in the outfield, obviously he's gonna make it all the way there. If the ball's sitting right next to second base, and second baseman's standing there with it, doesn't matter whether there's a truck there that stops him, he's not gonna get it. Yes, sir.
If you're running from second, third, and player's trying to field the ball, does the runner have to give the fielder clearance? Or-
Correct, yes. The runner has to let the defensive player field the ball. Now, a couple other things about obstruction, real quick here. These are important things. A fake tag, it says back here in 2 point, whatever it was. If there's a fake tag on a runner, in Little League, that is an obstruction call. So if a kid's standing there and the ball's not even coming to him, and he takes his glove and fakes the tag on him, that's obstruction, he gets the base. There's no out call and at that point. And if maybe he stopped or slowed down because he was faking the tag, you might even give him the next base. Beyond that, real quick, one more thing. The other thing is, you cannot, you guys have probably seen this, but a defensive player cannot be blocking the plate, the base, or the baseline without the ball in his hand, okay? So if you got the catcher, for example, this is where it happens all the time. You got the guy running home, you got the catcher here, the ball's still in the outfield, the catcher gets right in front of home plate, and here comes the ball finally. Well, just before the ball gets there, there's the big collision that happens. That's obstruction because he does not have the ball. He cannot get in that baseline or block that base or plate until he has the ball in his hand, okay? That's really important.
What's the difference?
So if he's already in that baseline, but he gets the ball right before he gets on him, that's not obstruction.
As long as he has it before the runner reaches it.
Alright.
Yep.
So on the one you were talking about, the runner going to third, if they do a fake tag, which I've seen before, but he gets to third fine, does the runner get home? Like you said.
Well, it depends. So the question is, would he have normally kept running, but he stopped running?
No, let's say he just ran into third and the guy just did a fake tag, he doesn't get another base.
He would not, no, if he stopped running because, he would have maybe made it home,
Yeah,
but he stopped running because it looked like he was gonna tag him. He's pretending like he's got the ball coming here.
If there's catcher's obstruction, but it's a foul tip, is that a strike or ball or no pitch?
If there's catcher's
So he
obstruction,
makes contact with it, but it doesn't go into play, it's fouled off, is that a strike, or because he interfered, is it no pitch?
so in what way would there be catcher's obstruction?
So his bat hits the catcher's glove, but still fouls
So
off.
catcher's
the ball.
interference,
Sorry,
catcher's interference,
catcher's
okay,
interference, my bad.
all right. If there's catcher's interference, well, then you wouldn't have a foul tip. Because the foul tip, the ball has to come off the bat and go directly to the catcher's glove. So it'd probably be pretty
Foul
hard.
ball.
Foul ball,
Yeah, just behind him.
it's still catcher's interference.
So he gets the
He would get first base.
But theoretically speaking, if it were to hit his glove, then the ball goes directly into his mitt, it'd still be catcher's interference, and he'd still get first base.
But that brings up a good point for you guys on the foul tip, which the announcers always get wrong at professional games or anything. I don't know if you've gone through foul tip or not, but a foul tip is where the ball's hit off the bat, sharp and direct to the catcher. And he catches it with either a glove or a hand. Okay? That's a live ball. Runners can go, and I'm gonna tell you, there's not a coach out there that knows that rule. So when you get the rare player that knows that and takes off and steals, everybody's standing there. So to tell you, if your players out there, you wanna really get a good one, take advantage of something, when you see a foul tip at the plate, steal, because there's nobody gonna throw it down. Everybody thinks it's dead, even though that's not the rule. Yes, sir.
And, if it's an obstruction 2 feet away from second base, the guy's running to second and there's obstruction, he only can go to second base, even though.
Well, if you think that's how far he would have gotten.
Okay.
If you think he would have gotten to third if they hadn't been obstruction, then you send him to third.
Okay.
What if you thought he wouldn't have taken a second?
Well, if there's obstruction, then
He still
if they
takes
held
it.
him up, then you can get there.
It's all in your judgment.
It's your judgment, yeah.
So would, like, if he gets obstructed and you think he wouldn't make it anyways, can you call him out?
Yeah, you could. I mean, it's a kind of thing, if he's gonna be out anyway, there's probably not gonna be obstruction, because there's probably gonna be a ball involved
Yeah.
in the whole thing.
But you're still gonna call obstruction when you see it happen.
Yeah. Usually it happens away from the ball anyway, the obstruction does. If somebody's running in and runs into somebody. Right.
So on your foul tip, if it's the third strike, does he have to tag up?
Foul tip, and it's,
Well, I just wonder, it's a caught ball, is it considered a fly ball that that the runner has to
No.
tag, or can he steal without?
well, no, but you can't leave the base until the ball reaches the batter anyway. So in Little League, so if he's gone early, then that's a different penalty. Right.
In an older league where you can steal, would a foul tip be considered like a fly ball, like
No.
you said?
It's a strike. It's a live strike, is what it is.
So even if he drops the ball, or?
So if he drops the ball, it's not a foul tip.
A foul tip straight back is a live ball whether he drops it or not?
No, if he drops it, it's no longer a foul tip.
Okay.
A foul tip is a ball that's sharpened direct off the bat into the catcher's hand or glove. If he even bobbles it a little bit and catches it in his hand or glove, and even bounces off his chest back to his hand or glove, that'll give you hand, yeah. Then it's a foul tip. If he drops it, foul ball. It's
He
dead.
can't run it.
Then everything dies, it doesn't matter.
And if he juggles it, it's not a catch either, not a
It's a
third.
catch, yes. If it first comes to his hand or in his mitt.
Okay.
And
And then it
then
doesn't matter if he juggles it in the air 10 feet and they
Well,
catch
no,
it,
if
it's
he
still
does
an
that,
out.
I'm not gonna call it foul tip.
Yeah, kind of like,
Well, I don't, that's what I was trying to understand, because they don't catch very well. It's partially.
if it like bounces off his mask, then it goes into his mitt.
Not a foul tip. But if it goes, right. Guys, let's go to section 7. This is the one, hey guys, listen up. This is the most important section of this rule book right here. It's also the longest and the toughest. So the only way we're gonna get through this tonight is if you guys listen up, and we're gonna go through quickly. If you've got any questions, bring them up, okay? All right. Chris, you wanna start out about, just 7:02? All right, guys, listen up.
So 702, in advancing, a runner shall touch first, second, third, and home base in order. If forced to return, the runner shall touch all bases in reverse order, unless the ball is dead under any provision of Rule 5.09. In such case, the runner may go directly to the original base.
So if a guy rounds second and realizes he has to go back to first, he's gotta touch second before he goes back to first, okay? He's gotta touch the bases on the way back and going forward in the live ball situation. Okay, two runners may not occupy a base at the same time. Makes sense, huh? Common sense? All right, who's out if they're both on there?
The last guy to get there.
Right, the first runner there basically has the base. And what'll happen, you'll see, you've seen this in even some of the professional games. They'll come up and the defensive guy will tag the first, there's two runners on there, and he'll tag the lead runner. And what does the umpire do? He just stands there. There's nothing wrong with that. The lead runner is entitled to that base. Then once he tags the other runner, then he's out. The only exception to that is if it's a forced play. So we got a runner on first base and second base, okay? There's a ground ball. And the runner on first goes to second. The runner on second stands there. And the batter runner comes up to first. There's a throw down to second. Who's out? The lead runner is out because he was forced to go to third, okay? But I think that situation, you'll realize what will happen. They're probably not gonna stand there anymore, but that's the only time that the lead runner is out. Yeah.
So the guy tags the lead runner that has the base, and then he doesn't tag the runner that came late in the two plays. What happens with the last runner out?
Nothing happens until he tags the other runner. But obviously the players aren't gonna let that just stand there. The coaches are gonna be yelling, tag the other guy, or something. So then if the trailing runner turns around and runs back to the previous base, he can do that, so he's safe. So, you won't leave two guys on one base, I mean, the defense just not let that happen, so, you hope. All right. Let's see, 7:04, each runner can advance one base without there being put out. A fair ball touches another runner. So if he hits a fair ball and touches another runner before passing a fielder or an umpire, in other words, it's a playable ball still, touches a runner, then the batter will go to first base and that runner that was hit will be out, third territory. So if a runner is standing on second base, who's not forced off, and there's a ground ball to him, hasn't passed any fielders yet, and it hits him, is he out or safe?
Out.
Who thinks out?
What is it?
Is he out or safe? If he's standing on second base and he's hit by a ball.
He's safe.
He's Is it in fair territory or foul territory? The rule says in fair territory, if you're hit by a ball, you're out. Second base is no safe place, except in an infield fly situation, then they don't have to go. If you're in fair territory, whether, it doesn't say if you're on a base now, and you're hit by a ball, an offensive hit ball, you're out, okay?
What if it's a ball thrown by the defensive team?
Well, that's not a hit ball, that's a thrown ball, that's a different situation, so.
Or it's on the base?
You're on the base, doesn't matter, you're still on the base, if you're in fair territory. That's a big misconception there.
What if the guy's got 1 foot on the base and 1 foot out, without
It's still in fair territory. Is the base in fair territory or foul territory? Okay. All right, let's see here. So let's go down to 705 real quick here. This will get into your situation with the thrown ball. Section, or B and C talk about 3 bases. This is what a batter runner can advance when this situation happens. So in B, obviously A is a home run, we know what that happens. B, he gets 3 bases if a fair ball, that means a hit ball, is touched by any fielder's equipment. If he takes his hat off to catch it, if he takes any part of his shirt to try to catch it, or anything other than his glove or his hand, then the batter gets 3 bases on that, okay?
But it has to be thrown.
Now this is a hit ball.
I mean, it's not, I'm talking about the
Oh.
bars must be thrown.
Well,
If it's detached, it's 2, right?
from its proper place. So, no, if the fielder's out there and he's running down, and he takes his hat off to catch the ball, that's not a legal play. He cannot do that. Correct. Correct.
And it's 3 bases from when it happened.
Three
The effect is always a home run, because he can advance to home, right? So it's always the base he's going to.
No, he
is
would go,
first
he would
plus
go to
3.
third base.
You go to third base?
3 bases, yeah.
The
This is the batter.
The batter.
This is the batter. It's 3 bases if somebody throws their glove at it, a hit ball. So just remember this, if it's a hit ball, and they're using anything besides the glove to catch it, it's 3 bases. If it's a thrown ball, it's 2 bases. All right, same situation, but if it was a thrown ball, and somebody tries to throw something, throw their glove at it, take their hat, whatever, it's 2 bases.
But the hat or glove has to actually touch the ball.
Correct, yeah.
So what if the runners he bought the first, right when he got his hat?
Still from the time the play happened.
Then does he just go to, does he go to
Third,
third?
goes to third.
Oh, so it's always third.
Yep. In fact, one of the most important rules here, you wanna go through, number, G, is it?
Alright, so G would be 2 bases when.
Okay, listen up, guys. If you wanna know the rules, you gotta listen, okay?
2 bases when with no spectators on the playing field, a thrown ball goes into the stands or into a bench, whether or not the ball rebounds into the field or over or under or through a field fence or on a slanting part of the screen above the backstop or remains in the mesh of the wire screen protecting spectators. The ball is dead.
Now, here's the important part of this whole rule right here. Chris is gonna read.
When such a wild throw is the first play by an infielder, the umpire in awarding such bases shall be governed by the position of the runners at the time the ball was pitched. In all other cases, the umpire shall be governed by the position of the runners at the time the wild throw was made.
Okay, that's important. How do you, when you award bases, when there's a ball thrown out of play, this is gonna be probably the number one thing that the coaches are gonna know whether you know or don't know. what you're doing out there. So this rule, you need, if you've got any questions, you need to call me or Mr. Ward or Chris or whatever, and go through this, because this is an important part. And what this says is, if it's the first play by an infielder, ground ball hit to the shortstop, he picks it up, he's gonna throw to first base. That is the first play by an infielder. He throws it over his head, out of play. You ever see that happen? You may or may not this year, no, you will for sure, all the time, see that happen, all year long. Okay, that's the first play by an infielder. What that means is, you award bases based on where the runners were at the time of the pitch, okay? Where was the batter at the time of the pitch? Home plate. How many bases does he get? 2. Where does he go? Second base, okay. You had a person on second base at the time of the pitch. Where does he go? He goes to home, okay. That's important. Now, if after the first play, then maybe he throws down to second and there's an out, he takes it and he heaves it over the first baseman's head out of play. Now you start awarding bases based on where the runners were at the time that that play happened, okay? So everybody, by the time that happened, has probably advanced at least one base. It goes out of play, time, you kill everything, and you might even want to get together with your partner at this point and say, all right, where was the runner between first and second? I was busy watching this over here. Tell me where you stand.
Yeah, that's why you have 2 guys on the field, and you guys are always looking at where everybody's at.
So, and then you'll award this. When a pitcher throws a ball out of play, and this isn't gonna happen too much in the majors and minors, but I've seen it happen. If he's making a play on somebody, there's a kind of a little phrase that we use use here. And we say 1 from the rubber, 2 from the field. And what that means is, if he's standing on the pitching plate, on the rubber, at the time he throws it out of play, he's a pitcher, and it awards 1 base. If he's off the pitching plate, then he becomes a fielder, and it's 2 bases. So that's a good little phrase that you'll learn as you go along, you should learn as you go along, because when the pitcher throws it out of play, the first thing the coach is gonna say is, well, was he standing on the pitching plate, or was he standing on the rubber or not? I'm gonna ask you that. So, something important. This rule, you guys need to understand this rule. And again, go over it on your own. If you've got questions, ask somebody, and make sure you got this, because you will award bases many times this year for overthrows. It's a big one. Okay? Let's see. When we get to obstruction, we talked about obstruction. 7.08 on page 78. The baseline. What is the baseline? Where's the baseline? I'm going to do this without trying to do. Okay, here's second base. Here's base. Okay. All right. This is our diamond. Let me ask you this: is this the baseline?
No.
Why is that not the baseline?
There's no baseline between first, second, and second to third.
Okay, is this a baseline here?
No.
No.
It's the aisle one.
All right. Obviously, I'm not going to ask an easy question because it's it's a trick question. So here's the deal: the runner determines the baseline. All right. How many of you guys have all played ball? I mean, you don't run here, stop, turn around and then turn and run straight there and stop, turn around, do you? When you run, you may do this. You may go here, come around, circle like that, and then come on in, all right? You're creating the baseline as the runner. You're making that baseline. So as an umpire, you've got to understand, you'll hear coaches yell all the time, well, he was out of the baseline. Well, he is the baseline. So he can't really be out of the baseline, short of if he's going here and he's going to be tagged and he runs out there. The rule says 3 feet. 7.08A says running 3 feet away from his or her baseline to avoid a tag. You know how that is, the kid's running up there to tag them out and the runner goes around and whatever. The rule that most umpires use in this case is called a step and a reach. So if in that baseline that the runner's creating, if the fielder goes a step and a reach, and the runner goes around that, then he's out for running out of the baseline. okay? Because there's no way you're gonna have a tape measure out there measure 3 feet from where it is. So just watch that, and in most cases, you're gonna see something really strange, where the runner's going around here, he's about to be tagged out, and he goes way out here and comes in. And that's pretty obvious. But how do you determine how far you can go? What is it? Step in the reach, okay? Easy, isn't it? Easy to think about that around the field, okay? All right, let's see. You wanna go through, 7.3C about So, guys, hey,
So C would be, that runner is tagged when the ball is alive, while off a base. Exception, a battery runner cannot be tagged, out after overrunning or oversliding first base. If said batter returns immediately to the base. So, if you goes past it and just comes right back, he can't be tagged out. But if he makes a motion as if he were to run to second, he can be tagged out.
you guys have probably all been familiar with that a little bit in game, haven't you? You overrun first base, it's okay. Now, here's the thing, this is where it gets a little tricky. So, runner comes down, overruns first base, turns around, he's walking back, the pitcher drops the ball. He might still be 10 feet off the base. Pitcher drops the ball, and he flinches like, oh, maybe I'll go. No, never mind, I'm not gonna go. Well, guess what?
He can be tagged.
He can be tagged at that point, because he made some motion, some indication of making that move to second, okay? So,
That, of course, is a judgment call.
it's judgment, but if you see him make any kind of move down there, even if it's because something happened out somewhere else, he becomes live and he can be tagged, so. Alright, obviously if a base is dislodged, the runner is safe if he touches the base or where the base was. Okay, if he slides in, kicks the base off, he can either be touching the base and be safe, or touching the place where the base was. You use some good judgment on that, but give that advantage to the runner all the time, because it's not his fault the base kicked off. What else we got here?
And with the bases coming off, you wanna make sure before every game that the field is properly prepped and make sure that the bases are facing the right direction. So that's one thing to keep in mind too.
Let's see. If a runner passes another runner on the field, the runner that passed is out. Okay? So if you got a fast guy, this will happen, you'll see this, catching up to one of the slow runners, he goes around him, he's out automatically. Just kill him right there.
Isn't that a unit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's like a home run, right, you got two guys on, and the guy was like on first base, right, but the kid who hit the home run overpasses him, or the kid who hit the home run is now out.
Really? Not a dead ball at a home run, it's a dead ball?
Doesn't matter, he's still out.
Really? Even on a dead ball?
Not a dead ball.
No, the home run's a dead ball. You didn't substitute a player.
You're saying the whole passing.
But it always,
It's only one point, it's only one point.
Hey guys, listen up.
It's only 1 point.
Hey, listen up, guys.
That's a rare occasion, it rarely happens, I would say.
So that's a good question. Is a home run a dead ball? No, and I'll tell you why a home run's not a dead ball. If that player that hits the home run misses one of the bases, and you as an umpire, you watch it. You'll be taught on the field, we're in a position to watch and make sure that any runner touches every base. So a home run, guy hits a home run, he's running, he's talking, he's laughing, he misses second base, he goes on, and he goes home to score. The defensive coach happens to notice it, or a defensive player. And so what the proper procedure of that is, they go back to the pitcher's mound before the next play, and they say, I'm appealing that runner missed second base. You gotta have the ball live, okay? So he throws it down to second base, take second base, and as a second base umpire,
You're just gonna stand there, call that out.
he's up. Yeah.
That's what happened to Pat Loomis, right, last year? I think that's how they
Is
ended up getting
that
the World
what-
Series.
yeah. Wow.
So it's totally fine, it's totally fine that it's a completely new ball, like, since obviously the home run, you're not using the same ball.
Correct.
You just get a different ball and then you can do it.
As long as there's not another play in between,
Alright.
so, correct.
So if the next pitch is thrown, then it voids everything.
You can't make an appeal after a play or a pitch is thrown.
What if the runner, the fast runner touches, like, he's behind, he has to run, and he touches, the runner who's ahead of him, is down?
That's okay. There's nothing, there's nothing.
Does there have to be any others who say that,
For missing the base, you mean from the umpire?
yeah, so the umpire just says something
Hey guys, this is an important question, so, that's a really good question. As an umpire, you never indicate that somebody missed a base. When you're out there, you're watching, and I see this all the time, where runners have missed the base, and the coaches don't even notice it. But all I do is I register it, like, okay, runner missed third base. If they come back and appeal, well, he'll be up. If they don't appeal, they got away with it.
You act like nothing happened.
Yeah, you don't make any indication at all that you, of what happened there.
Yep.
Yes.
Get a batter's back to it, or he doesn't see it.
It's not up to you to determine. I mean,
And the scorekeeper will probably say, hey, that kid's banging over, or then you turn around and say, shh, be
yeah,
quiet.
the scorekeeper's gonna tell you.
Can a coach, oh yeah, make an appeal, or does it have to be a player, like, to appeal and not go to that?
It can be,
For, like,
Well, the coach can't make the actual appeal, the coach can say we're appealing. But the player has, the pitcher has to take the ball, or wherever the ball is, and throw it to the second baseman.
Doesn't he have to have to be on the mound?
He does, he has to be on the mound, yeah, because it has to be a line ball. All right, all right, let's keep going, guys. All right, so this is interference on the runner and the batter. This is an important thing. If a runner's going along, when can a runner run into a fielder and not have interference, or vice versa? That's the big judgment out there. Because what happens is, anytime there's a collision, of course, the whole fans on the side of the runner thinks it was the defensive guy's fault. The whole stand on the side of the defensive player thinks it was the runner's fault. So here's the thing. A runner has to give, a defensive player making a play on a ball, the runner has to let him make that play. He cannot interfere with it. If he does, then that's interference and the runner's out for that call, okay? And even if it's accidental, he just can't do it. Now, if it's obviously intentional, let's just say there's a runner on first, and there's a ground ball coming down to second base, to the second baseman, and he intentionally goes and hits him so that he can't make that play. What that's gonna be is, you're gonna call out that runner for interfering. You're also gonna call out the batter going to first base on this guy's interference because he broke up the double play intentionally. If you think it was intentional, now if it's just accidental, and that's, again, it's your judgment. But you know, you can kind of tell if the guy's going in there like this with his eyes ready to nail him, or if he just trips over him, something like that. It's pretty easy to see that. Does that make any sense? If it's intentional, you get him out and the other runner. In the case of an interference call, no run can score, okay? Any runners on base have to go back. Now, even further to that, if the batter runner interferes with a double play situation at first base, he's out for the interference, and then the runner closest to home plate is out based on his interference as well. So, sure.
Isn't the interference like the same thing as obstruction?
Not at all, no. No, obstruction happens from the defense, okay? The fielders can cause obstruction. Interference happens from the runners, the offensive team. Okay? It's similar type of situation, but it's different. I know it seems confusing at this point, but it's important to learn the difference out there, because when you're making the call, then it'll go by the rules, and it'll become clearer later on, as you go over this a few times.
So if like the runner was coming in towards home and the catcher had the ball, if he like knocked over the catcher, would that be interference on him?
Well, if he knocked over the catcher, that's probably gonna just be a different, I wouldn't call that interference. I'd probably just call him out for being too aggressive, first of all, if he knocked over the catcher. We're gonna get into that too. Who thinks that that you have to slide at a base? You have to slide. Okay, we'll touch on this real quick here. This is. Well, here we go. Listen, guys, 708, page 78, 7.08, section 3, at the very bottom of the page. And you're gonna have coaches question you on this all year long, so this is an important one. It says, the runner is out if he does not slide or attempt to get around a fielder who has the ball. Here we go. Catcher's got the ball waiting for him. Runner's coming home. If he slides and runs into him, that's okay. If he tries to jump over him or go around or whatever to avoid contact, that's okay. Either one of those counts. He doesn't have to slide. Most coaches think that they gotta slide. If you don't slide, you're out. That's not the case. You just try to avoid that major contact, okay? But sliding into somebody is considered no contact. If they slide into the base, then it's okay. That's legitimate to do. Okay?
So if the runner tries to avoid contact but accidentally hits him, is it still the same?
He would still be out. Yeah. Well, it depends. If you say accidentally hits him, if he nicks him on the side like this, if he knocks him over and he rolls 3 times, yeah, he's gonna be out.
So it's all on your chest.
Yeah, so
So if he's like sliding and, he's up in the air going for his face.
If he's doing that, he's probably not gonna be playing the rest of the game to find out, first of all. All right, so let's see. The other thing is, and hey guys, at majors and minors, a runner cannot slide head first into a base. You're gonna see this once in a while. You're gonna see a runner sliding. Now, if he goes past the base and he's running back to the base, it's okay to go back into it head first. But if he's sliding, running forward, if he slides head first, even if he's safe, what is he?
Out.
He's out. Okay. So the way to call that is if there's a close play at the plate, let's say, the runner's coming home, and this is where they usually slide head first. They'll slide in, the ball will come just a little bit later, the catcher will tag him. He obviously beat the throw. I'm just gonna stand there and let things settle a little bit, and I'm gonna go, he's out, he slid head first. I'm gonna explain it right on the spot. Because as soon as you go, he's out, number one, the whole crowd's gonna go, what? Are you crazy? He beat him by a mile. That's what I'm gonna say. He's out, he slid head first. Right on the spot. Okay? Explain yourself out there sometimes before you have to. Same thing, at any base, the runner cannot slide head first into the base in majors and below. He is out automatically, okay? Hey guys, just a few more minutes, okay?
Actually 10, so more than
All right, so the other thing you'll see, and if we go over to 709, we look at number E, says any batter or runner who's just been put out hinders or impedes any following play. So this will happen a lot on double plays. Runner on first, the ball's hit to shortstop, he throws it down, he's out at second on the force. Well, the runner between first and second may do anything from reach up in the air to get in front of the second baseman or whatever, just to prevent the throw back to first. That's interference. Again, he's already out, but then the runner at first base is gonna be out on his interference, okay? If you see anything like that, where they break up a double play intentionally, that both runners are out. Close to the plate, and it feels. Yeah, runner's out, again, if he fails to avoid a fielder, this says it right here, so you might even make a note of this in case you get questioned on it. 709, number J. The runner fails, this says, interference by a batted runner when the runner fails to avoid a fielder who is attempting to field a batted ball. The fielder has to be allowed to field that ball, okay? Now, sometimes you've got two guys standing next to each other, one of them's gonna field it, the other one is close, and the runner might run into the first guy, but it doesn't affect the actual fielder who's gonna get the ball. That's nothing, just let the play go, okay? It's only if he bothers the fielder.
Would that be obstruction then?
It would not be, because if he might be, it depends, I think it would depend on how or why it's obstruction, but if he's right next to the guy fielding the ball, it's probably not gonna be obstruction, he's probably just not paying attention. He's probably lucky he didn't get called for interference at that point. On appeal, so you guys know that when a ball is caught in the field, a fly ball, that the runner has to tag up. So we'll go through the field mechanics, how we watch that as a team. That's a tough thing to watch. You're watching a lot of stuff out there, but the one thing you have to watch is you have to get in position to have the runner in front of you and the fly ball out there. You see him catch it, or even if he doesn't catch it, as soon as he touches it and drops it, then he can go. And of course, he touches it and drops it, and he doesn't have to tag up anyway. If he touches it, bobbles it a few times, and then catches it, the tag up has to happen as soon as the first touch takes place.
And it can bounce off his head, and if it goes back in the air, the runner's gonna still advance.
Yep,
So,
absolutely, and even if he catches it, so. But they can't advance, you can't leave the base until the first touch happens. So you're trying to get into position to watch that. So that's gonna take some training and some practice to get there.
catch, but the runner's gonna have already left.
So the answer to that, did you hear that question? What if it hits off one defensive player's glove, body or something, and the other defensive player catches it? That is a catch, except if it hits off the first player, and it either hits a wall or an offensive player first, and then back to the defensive player, then it's no catch. So if he bobbles it, and it hits a runner, or the wall or something, and then it's caught, it's no catch, all right?
Or if it hits, let's say it goes into the catcher, or the fielder's mitt, then goes up into the air, and at that point, the runners decide to advance, and then another fielder catches it, they've still advanced.
They still advance, correct, yeah. Because they advance after the first defensive player touches it.
It can get confusing.
Yeah. So the other thing you might see here, runner's going home. He misses home plate. And he thinks he touched home plate, but he didn't. The catcher realized he didn't touch it. So what happens at that point as an umpire? He slides in, maybe he doesn't even slide, maybe he runs in, but he runs, you know how you come in, you run right over the plate, miss it completely. Catcher gets the ball. He can't just touch the plate. He's gotta go touch the runner, okay? Unless the runner's kind of running away or going down to the dugout or something like that. At that point, he can turn around to you, the catcher can turn around to you, the umpire, and say, hey, I'm appealing, he didn't touch home plate. And then as the umpire, I'm gonna say he's out. If the runner has, in a sense, given up at that point.
Do they have to say they're making an appeal?
Yes.
Or could you-
They have to set it up, yes.
Does the ball have to go back to the mound first?
No. No, at that point, the catcher's got the ball, and everybody kind of knows what's going on. But, because one thing you wanna avoid is, and you know, you've seen this, so the runner realizes, oh, I didn't touch the plate. Catcher's got the ball, and here we go, you got the cat and mouse chase, everybody's running around out there. You don't want that going on, you know, it's like, you're trying to avoid it. At that point, just what you can do is, if the catcher comes back and says, hey, he didn't touch, then, the other thing is, in a sense, the ball is live until that batter, or until that runner goes into what's called a dead ball area. So what, in our field, what's a dead ball area? the dugout, outside the fence line, anything like that. So as soon as he steps back into that dugout, he cannot come back out and retouch the plate. At that point, the catcher can just say he's out. But you may have him miss the plate, and you may not have the catcher do anything. And you just stand there and go, guess they got away with one. So just let it go, don't bring it up.
Does the catcher have to appeal or can?
Catcher appears.
But what do the coach do?
Well, coach can tell the catcher to appeal. The catcher still has to pitch. He has to tell you what he's appealing to.
Can't do that to fielder or?
No, well, no, you still have the ball right there.
And that's to be done before the next pitch.
Well, okay, let me change it. If you've got the third baseman in there that was making the play at home, and he's got the ball, he can make the speed. Whoever was making the play, I should say. Yeah, it's very clear here that they have to say they're doing.
How do you determine like the baseline? Things like the catcher, or like if the batter's running like more than 3 feet away from home plate, and he's trying to catch one of them and really out, or he's not really.
Well, you know, if he's out here, and he misses it, he misses it.
No, but I mean like he misses home plate, and then like he realized that he didn't touch it, but he's already like 6 steps.
That's okay. So it's a live ball until that runner goes into the dugout or past the fence.
So if you realize that he missed it, he walks back, this will do that.
Yeah, so he can walk all the way over here. Nobody says anything, okay? Let's just say this, runner misses home plate. Catcher's just standing there and throws the ball back to the pitcher. Nobody says anything. He starts walking all the way over here. He gets within 1 step. His coach says, hey, you missed home plate. He goes running back, touches home plate, he's safe. And as an umpire, what I'll do, if he misses home plate, and I'm just gonna stand there, I'm not gonna make a call, because he's not out, he's not safe, he's nothing at that point. So a good coach is gonna notice that the umpire didn't make a call. And I'm just gonna stand there. So then what'll happen is, if he goes here, comes all the way back, as soon as he touches the plate, we go, he's safe. Make the call at that point. Until that, nothing. Nothing happens. Yep.
Oh, well, what if they just play on and you didn't make a call, safe or out?
Well, then it's gonna be a safe because everybody, he made the plate. In that sense, he's safe because he crossed the plate and he's achieved it and nobody's appealed that he missed the plate.
There's no base path violation because no one was trying to tag it?
Correct. Yeah. You mean from here to here?
Yeah.
No. No, that's a big misconception that, oh, as soon as he leaves that, he's out, he's automatically out. That's not the case. When a runner leaves the field to a dead ball area, then it's all killed.
Once if the catcher notices, he's gotta come straight back to the base, he can't run through left field and right field at that point.
Well, he could, but why would he be doing that other than
Avoid the tag.
Yeah. If he's doing that, then we got a whole different circus going on. All right. Okay, hey guys, I gotta do this real quick here. This is a biggie. This is leaving the base early. This is the last thing we're gonna talk about. In majors and minors, the runner is not allowed to leave the base until the pitched ball what?
Plate.
Okay. Most everybody thinks it crosses the plate. It's not crosses the plate. It's very clear in here, and the coaches don't know either. It's called reaches the batter. And why that's important is, you've got the plate here, and you got, some of your batters are gonna be standing up here. Some of your batters are standing back here. The ball reaches the batter, that's when the runner can leave. Okay. Now, if they leave early, there's some serious penalties on that, and it can really change the outcome of the game. So let's go through this really quickly. Chris, you want to just kind of summarize? And it does not hit the ball. 7.138. Okay, so in this case, what happens is, there's a runner on first, he leaves early before the ball gets in, and the batter doesn't hit the ball. So what happens? What's our rule?
So when a base runner leaves the base before the pitched ball has reached the batter, and the batter does not hit the ball,
the runner is permitted to continue. If a play is made on the runner and the runner is out, the out stands. If said runner reaches safely the base to which the runner is advancing, the runner must be returned to the base occupied before the pitch was made, and no out is the result.
So runner steals from first to second, but he left early. I'm gonna have a flag in my pocket or drop my hat, put the flag down. If he makes second base and there's no hit, then I'm gonna send him back to first, say time, runner left early, back to first. If he's thrown out at second, he's out. That's the stance. Okay.
You guys got those red hankies, right?
No.
No.
We get that after we pass the test.
Could be, all right. So let me go through two more things. I wanna get you guys out here with some questions. Now, if the batter hits the ball, okay, guys, runner leaves early, the batter hits the ball. You kinda let everything develop, you drop your hat or your flag, you let everything develop, and then what happens is, you let whatever the batter achieves, say he got a single, then you send everybody else back to that point after the single. So if there's a runner on first and second, batter gets a single, but the runners leave too early, I'm gonna let them stay on first, and the runners that maybe even scored from first and second are going back to second and third. You're gonna back them up right to that point. Now, here's the other thing, if it's hit in the infield, so here, this is the biggie right here. Base is loaded, there's a ball hit on the infield, but the runner's left early. And this happened, I don't know if you remember, Michael T. Martin went out and did the Little League World Series a couple years ago in Williamsport, and he had this call out there. And bases were loaded, the runners left early, and there was a ground ball in the infield, and they threw him out. Actually, he was safe at first. And the ruling on that is this, it's like, all the runners must go back, however, the run that's, so now you have 5 runners, because you have the batter that hit, the 4 runners that run, or the 3 runners that run, you have 4 total. The run that scored does not count. And what happens is, you tell the scorekeeper, you just write in there, no run, 7.13C, that's the rule number. And everybody else just stays where they are. So it's like nothing happened, there's no out, but there's no run either. You cannot, correct, you cannot score a run on a ground ball hit in the infield with the runners leaving early, ever. Okay? That's a biggie. Runners leaving early are, you may or may not see that, you're probably more likely than not see it, keep an eye out for it. All right, okay guys, I wanna get you guys out of here. Any questions coming?